A Chinese aircraft carrier appears on the radar. Enormous, surrounded by 6 warships, moving north through the Taiwan Strait. The Japanese destroyer is alone in the dark. No escort, no backup. One ship. The 2 forces are on a collision course. The distance drops. 4 miles. 3, 2. Nobody turns. The corridor shrinks to almost nothing. A Chinese jet descends, low, very low, and passes over the destroyer's hull at 100 meters. A warning. The Japanese captain watches it go. He does not touch the controls. He does not alter course. 1.8 miles from the Chinese carrier's hull, the Japanese destroyer passes through the tightest point. Silent. Steady. Tracking system still off. Nobody fires. 14 hours earlier, the strait was quiet. 4 in the morning, April 17th, 2026. The Japanese destroyer Ikazuchi enters the southern end of the Taiwan Strait. Class Murame, commissioned into the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. 1 captain, 1 crew, 1 mission. Transit this waterway from south to north, in full view of China, at half the speed anyone would expect. The ship's automatic tracking system is off. No transponder signal broadcasting its position. Every maritime vessel in the world runs that system as standard procedure. The Ikazuchi turned it off on purpose. 14 knots dropping to 7. The crew knows the plan. The captain knows the plan. What Beijing doesn't know yet is that this ship isn't in a hurry. It's making a point. Before we get to what happens next, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Hit the bell. Because naval analysis at this level, real scenarios, real assets, real orders, disappears fast on YouTube. The platform buries it, pushes it out of your feed. You might never find this kind of content again. Subscribe now, hit the bell, and come back, because what comes next changes everything. 4:17 a.m., Taiwan Strait. The contact has no transponder. The first alert comes from a Chinese Coast Guard vessel stationed near the southern entrance to the strait. A radar operator reads the contact. Slow-moving, single surface vessel. No identification signal. He passes the report up the chain. The chain passes it further. Inside 30 minutes, the contact lands on a desk inside the People's Liberation Army Navy Command Center in Zhoushan. The classification takes 4 minutes. 1 destroyer, Japanese, DD-107, JS Ikazuchi, and it is moving through the Taiwan Strait at deliberate, insulting speed. The response is immediate. A PLA Navy carrier group, already at sea east of the strait, following a scheduled exercise, receives new orders. The Liaoning, one of 3 aircraft carriers in China's fleet, redirects north toward the strait's entrance. 6 escort vessels form around it. 2 destroyers, 2 frigates, 2 supply ships trailing behind. The intercept course is set. The calculation in Beijing is simple. The Japanese ship will see what's coming. It will alter course. It will yield. The Ikazuchi's radar operator detects the formation at 12 miles. The carrier group's signature unmistakable. A cluster of contacts moving in tight formation. The largest contact at the center. He reports to the bridge. Contact bearing 270. Multiple vessels. Carrier group configuration. Closing. The captain receives the report. He looks at the display. He does not reach for the course controls. He reaches for the radio to Tokyo. Tokyo's response takes 41 seconds. 41 seconds in which the Ikazuchi holds its heading. 7 knots. Tracking system off. Moving straight toward the largest concentration of Chinese naval power in the Western Pacific. 41 seconds where the only sound on the bridge is the low hum of the ship's engines, and the quiet breathing of a crew that knows exactly what they're sailing into. The rules of engagement come back clean. Continue transit. Maintain course. Do not initiate. Do not yield. The captain sets the radio down. The corridor narrows. At 9 miles, the Chinese naval vessels broadcast on the international hailing frequency, Channel 16, the channel every ship on Earth monitors. The message is direct. The vessel bearing 270 is advised to alter course immediately and exit the Taiwan Strait. This waterway is Chinese territorial water. The transmission is in Mandarin first, then in English. Standard procedure for a message intended to be heard, recorded, and later cited as evidence of warning. The Ikazuchi's radio operator transcribes it word for word. He passes the transcript to the captain. The Ikazuchi acknowledges receipt of the transmission. The radio operator reads back the message confirmation in correct maritime procedure, word for word, exactly as the rules require. The ship does not turn. There is a specific silence that follows a challenge that goes unanswered at sea. It is not the silence of confusion or hesitation. It is the silence of a crew that has been told exactly what to do and is doing it. Every station aboard the Ikazuchi is manned. Every system is active. The radar operator is tracking the carrier group's formation shift in real time. The 2 lead destroyers have moved forward, flanking the Liaoning on each side, tightening the group into a wedge pointed directly at the Japanese ship. The distance between the 2 forces is now 8 miles, 7.5. The wedge holds. At 7 miles, a second transmission. Shorter, more direct. No longer the formal maritime advisory. This one comes from the lead Chinese destroyer on the tactical frequency. Turn now. You are in Chinese sovereign waters. Final warning. The Liaoning group has not slowed. The 6 escort vessels hold formation. The corridor between the 2 forces is now a straight line of converging geometry, and someone on one side of it has to make a decision. The Ikazuchi's defensive radar system, tracking the aircraft and vessels around it automatically, locks onto the Chinese jet that has descended from its patrol altitude. The lock is passive. No weapons. No authorization to fire. The system simply watches, waits, calculates. No panic. No chaos. Just the disciplined routine of a navy that has been sailing these waters for decades, under pressure, without blinking. At 3.2 miles, the Chinese jet makes its move. It drops to 100 meters above sea level and crosses the bow of the Ikazuchi at a sharp angle. Close enough to read the hull number. Close enough to rattle every piece of unsecured equipment on the deck. The targeting system updates the track automatically. The captain watches the aircraft pass. He says nothing, because there is nothing to say. The jet did not fire. The jet did not descend further. The jet climbed back to altitude after the pass and resumed its orbit. A warning, not a threat. Not yet. The Ikazuchi does not treat it as either one. At 2 miles, the Chinese formation does something unexpected. The 2 lead frigates peel outward, one to port, one to starboard, widening the formation. The carrier and its 2 destroyers hold the center line. The geometry shifts from a wall to a corridor. A corridor the Ikazuchi is already pointed straight through. It is not a welcoming gesture. It is a test. Will the Japanese destroyer stay the course when the gap opens? It does. 7 knots. Tracking system off, course unchanged. The Ikazuchi passes between the Chinese frigates at 1.8 miles from the Liaoning's hull. Closest point of approach in the entire transit. The carrier group surrounds the Japanese ship on 3 sides for approximately 4 minutes. long enough for every radar system on every vessel to get a full read, long enough for cameras on both sides to capture every detail. And then, the gap is passed. The Ikazuchi clears the northern edge of the formation. The Chinese vessels are behind it now. The strait opens wide ahead. The formation does not follow. And this is not fiction. On April 17, 2026, the Japanese destroyer Ikazuchi sailed through the Taiwan Strait, tracking system deliberately disabled, moving at half the standard transit speed for 14 hours. China scrambled jets and warships. The Ikazuchi did not turn. The Chinese government issued a formal diplomatic protest and called the movement a provocation. The PLA's official newspaper accused Japan of wanting to return to its militarist past. 3 days after the real transit, China sent its carrier Liaoning through that same strait in a symbolic response. The date was not random. April 17th marks 131 years since China signed the Treaty of Shimonoseki, the document that handed Taiwan to Japan after a swift and humiliating military defeat. Every Chinese child learns that date in school. The ship chosen for the transit was named Ikazuchi, Japanese for thunder, after a vessel of the old Imperial Navy that fought China in World War II. Japan has more than 40 modern warships. It chose that one on that date, moving at that speed. You just watched what the next confrontation could look like. The Chinese formation adjusts. The Liaoning group slows. The two frigates that peeled outward close back into formation. Not a pursuit formation, a withdrawal formation. The carrier turns northeast. The escort vessels follow. The Ikazuchi continues north. Course unchanged. Speed unchanged. 7 knots. The same 7 knots it has held for the entire transit. No acceleration to clear the area faster. No deceleration to acknowledge the moment. 7 knots, heading north, tracking system still off, as if the largest concentration of Chinese naval power in the strait was simply another feature of the landscape. Because to the crew of the Ikazuchi, that's exactly what it was. The contact reports from the Chinese vessels stop. The jets return to altitude and then to base. The strait empties back to its usual commercial traffic. Container ships, bulk carriers, tankers moving through in both directions as they have every day for decades, because the Taiwan Strait is one of the busiest waterways on Earth, and no Chinese claim has ever stopped a single commercial vessel from using it. The Combat Information Center aboard the Ikazuchi logs the final entry. Closest point of approach, 1.8 miles. Duration of direct proximity with adversary formation, 4 minutes. Shots fired, none. Course alterations, none. Status, mission complete. China told the world for more than 70 years that the Taiwan Strait belongs to it. That those waters are Chinese territorial waters, not international passage. On April 17th, a single Japanese destroyer, alone, tracking system off, moving at half speed, proved what that claim costs to challenge. Nothing. And what it costs China to enforce it. Everything. Japan did not fire. Japan did not threaten. Japan did not ask permission. It sailed straight through, at the speed of a deliberate statement, on the worst date in Chinese naval memory. And Beijing's entire response amounted to protests and a carrier transit 3 days later. That carrier transit, by the way, proved Japan's point. The strait is open. Anyone can use it. The strait is still there. So is the question. Now I want to hear from you. Should Japan have pushed further, entering the strait more often, with more ships, making the message impossible to ignore? Or was one destroyer, on one date, at half speed, exactly the right amount of pressure. Drop your side in the comments. The debate starts right there, and I read every one. And if you made it this far and you still haven't subscribed, do it now. Hit the bell. Because the next one is already in production. We're breaking down what happens if China decides to respond not with warships, but with something quieter. Submarines, sensors, the undersea war for the Taiwan Strait that nobody is talking about. You don't want to miss that one. Subscribe, hit the bell, see you there.